for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you for being here. I know it's been a long day, but we appreciate this. This is extremely important. Folks, I'm the oldest pharmacist in Congress, and the youngest one is sitting in front of me over here. But there are two of us, and both of us agree that drug prices are too high, and we know the problem. And I don't speak for my colleague, but I think she would agree that the problem is the middlemen, the PBMs, the pharmacy benefit managers. As you can tell, and I'm not going to go into my usual spiel, but I'm not a fan of PBMs. I'm not a fan of any group that does not bring value to the healthcare system, and I don't believe they bring value to the healthcare system at all. I believe all they do is profit and pocket those profits. But nevertheless, one of the problems is the link between PBM compensation and the price of medicines. In fact, you're familiar with spread pricing. I suspect all of you are familiar with that, where they pay one thing and then they charge another price, much higher price. In fact, the state of Ohio is now suing a PBM as a result of the spread pricing that took place in that state. And the Attorney General described the PBMs as being gangsters, and they are. And you know, I'm sorry, that's just all there is to it. But I want to tell you about a bill I've got. It is a bipartisan bill that Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester and I have introduced. It's called Protecting Patients Against PBM Abuses Act. And what it does is to de-link the PBM compensation from medicine prices in Part D. And instead, it implements just a flat fee-based model, which I think would work much better. Dr. Miller, you're familiar with PBMs and the way that I suspect, and the way that they practice. Do you believe, or do you agree that the current PBM compensation model, including the use of spread pricing and public health programs, incentivizes PBMs to put higher priced medicines on the formulary, potentially limiting access to lower cost medicines?
Yes, it can definitely be problematic.
Yes, it can. And it is problematic, and I appreciate you acknowledging that. Anyone else want to speak on that? Anyone else hate PBMs as much as I do? No, I doubt that.
As a patient.
Yeah, the other pharmacist does, but nevertheless. Yeah. Well, again, this is extremely important, and I hope that I hope you'll look at this bill, because this is one of the many ways that we feel like we can address this situation. Now, very quickly, I want to switch my attention to Alzheimer's, because this is another pet project of mine, if you will. And I've witnessed it firsthand in my family. I've witnessed it, obviously, as a healthcare professional and treating patients in my pharmacies. And I know what an awful, awful disease it is. And it impacts almost 7 million Americans every year, and that are living with this heartbreaking disease. I was encouraged to see recently that we've got some progress in the world of medicine and the world of drugs, that finally we got a new class of Alzheimer's treatments that'll give families hope, and they need hope. God bless them, they need hope. Not only those who are suffering from it, but the caretakers. Let's always keep them in mind. The caregivers are suffering just as much, and well, they're suffering as well, and that's something we have to be cognitive of. They have hope that this will give them more quality time with their loved ones before the disease takes hold, but that time will most likely not be extended if the CMS does not open the national coverage determination to ensure access to more patients. Dr. Ross, can you speak to how requiring provider and patient participation in a registry may impact people living with dementia, particularly those living in rural and underserved communities?
Thank you, Congressman, for this question. As you know, we have submitted a request for reconsideration of the NCD criteria with the CMS, particularly as refers to the CED requirements. Under the current pathway, there's two patient populations where some of the patients that we believe fit the well-established evidence-based criteria for treatment should be excused from the CED pathway and allowed to receive the medication as appropriate. For other patients who will be undergoing the CAD pathway, we believe that they should have an off-ramp procedure. As the evidence is gathered for those patient populations, they should have a determinate opportunity to receive treatment without the burden of data entering in the real world.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. This is a bad enough situation and just awful situation, and to have to deal with this on top of it is just something that I think is unnecessary. So thank you for that.
And if you would allow me,
Yes,
I would
please.
also say with regard to the rural access to neurologists, I would say that, you know, one of the more pressing issues is actually shortage of physicians, in this case, neurologists who are the specialists who are specifically trained to diagnose and treat this disorder. So anything that the American Academy of Neurology can do working with the Congress to improve our current situation with the workforce, particularly neurologists, would be happy to engage.
And of course, that also stresses the importance of telemedicine as well. So
That is-
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much, and I yield back.
Hey, thanks. The gentleman yields back.